Mookie Betts and Roki Sasaki represent two generations, two cultures, and two ways of understanding baseball that nevertheless meet in the same locker room with the mission of conquering glory with the Los Angeles Dodgers. The arrival of the young Japanese pitcher to the team was not only a media bombshell, but also an adaptation challenge that goes beyond the sporting aspect. In this process, Betts has assumed a fundamental role as mentor and guide, aware that his experience and leadership can make the difference in the success of his new teammate. From the very beginning, Betts made clear what he saw in Sasaki: immense talent but also a reserved, almost shy personality. He didn't say it as criticism, but rather as a diagnosis. "He's very, very quiet," he commented in an interview in Tokyo, noting that much of that reserve came from the language barrier and the difficulty of adapting to a new culture. But the most interesting part came later, when he added with a smile that his goal would be to get Sasaki out of that shell, to joke with him, to integrate him into the daily life of the clubhouse, and to help him feel comfortable in a completely different environment. For Betts, integration is not a minor detail, but an essential condition for Sasaki to reach his ceiling as a ballplayer. That vision reflects a deep understanding of what it means to succeed in the major leagues. Betts knows that talent is not enough. He has seen many brilliant players who, by failing to adapt to the lifestyle, the media pressure, or the demands of a 162-game schedule, never managed to fulfill their potential. With Sasaki, that story cannot repeat itself. "I think if he can feel comfortable, if he can be himself, there's no doubt he can become the best pitcher on the planet," he assured. That phrase, which combines conviction with responsibility, is the synthesis of the role Betts has assigned himself, being the teammate who accompanies the Japanese prodigy in his transformation toward greatness. The Dodgers have bet on a unique fusion of Japanese talent with Ohtani, Yamamoto, and now Sasaki. For the club, this means opening the doors to a new era, but also managing cultural, linguistic, and personality differences. Here, Mookie Betts has placed himself as a kind of ambassador, the player who helps translate not only words but codes, routines, and expectations. He himself explained it in another interview: "It's not my job, but it's something I take pride in. I've been here a long time. I understand my position in my career and how others see me. I know I can help him feel comfortable, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure of it." These kinds of statements are not common among players still at their performance peak. Many prefer to focus solely on their own game. But Betts, who already has MVPs, Gold Gloves, and a reputation as a future Hall of Famer, understands that his role goes beyond the individual. His leadership is not measured only in hits or runs saved with the glove, but also in his ability to turn the locker room into a space of trust, especially for someone like Sasaki, who faces the double challenge of debuting in MLB and adapting to a different culture. Sasaki's initial shyness is no secret. Betts himself admitted that he would probably lean a lot on Ohtani and Yamamoto, compatriots who have already traveled the path of transition. But at the same time, he insisted that he would seek to play an active role in that integration. For Betts, joking, talking, and creating bonds off the field are ways of building trust, something that then directly translates into on-field performance. "If he feels part of us, if he feels this clubhouse is his too, then he'll be free to pitch the way he knows," he commented in a relaxed tone but with the seriousness of someone who understands what's at stake. Sasaki's case is special because he's not just another developing pitcher. He arrives preceded by a huge reputation, by gigantic expectations in Japan and the United States. He's called the prodigy for his velocity, his dominance, and his youth. That brings extra pressure, and Betts knows it. That's why his words carry so much weight. It's not just about giving him technical advice, but also about shielding him emotionally so he doesn't get lost in the media storm. Japanese fans follow Sasaki's every move with almost obsessive attention. Every appearance, every pitch, every comment is analyzed. In that sense, Betts also acts as a buffer. By integrating him, by making him feel part of American culture, he seeks to ease the weight of outside scrutiny. His vision is pragmatic. A relaxed and comfortable Sasaki will perform better, and a better performing Sasaki will make the Dodgers an unstoppable team. Betts's words also reveal the transformation of his own career. He's no longer just the explosive player who shines in the highlights, but the veteran who understands his role within the team's structure. Leadership is not demanded, it's exercised, and Betts is doing so with actions and with words. For him, supporting Sasaki is a personal commitment, almost a mission. He does it not because it's required, but because he understands that great teams are built not only with statistics but with mutual trust. In a club that competes for the championship every year, where pressure is permanent, this kind of support is essential. The Dodgers know that Sasaki's adaptation can be the difference between having a dominant rotation or facing doubts in key moments. That's why Mookie Betts' voice becomes as valuable an asset as his bat. When he says Sasaki can be the best pitcher on the planet, it's not just a compliment, it's a message of confidence, an invitation to believe, a way of telling his young teammate that he has a team ready to back him up. Thus, the relationship between Mookie Betts and Roki Sasaki becomes a story within the greater Dodgers narrative. A story of quiet leadership, of cultural integration, and of mutual trust. Betts doesn't need long speeches or grand gestures to make his commitment clear. With simple acts, with jokes, with locker room conversations, he's building a bridge that could be decisive not only for Sasaki's career but for the entire franchise's aspirations. At heart, Betts understands the essential. Championships are not won with talent alone, they are won with teams that believe in each other. And along that path, helping Roki Sasaki feel at home is just as important as any home run or diving catch. For the Dodgers, that support could be the key that turns an ambitious project into a historic reality. Roki Sasaki's present is marked by the word rehabilitation. After a rocky start to the season, with physical issues that kept him off the mound, the Japanese pitcher is in the middle of a rebuilding stage in Triple-A Oklahoma City. There, under an environment less demanding than the bright lights of Dodger Stadium, but just as crucial for his career, Sasaki is trying to recover the velocity, control, and confidence that once made him one of the most anticipated promises in world baseball. His first outings have not lived up to the hype. In his most recent start, he could barely complete 2 innings, allowed 3 runs and 6 hits, failed to strike out a batter, and showed a fastball between 92 and 94 miles per hour. Far from the 100 that made him famous in Japan. For many, it was a reminder that the transition to American baseball is not immediate, and that the body, after an injury, always requires time. But for the Dodgers, it was also a wake-up call. They need Sasaki ready as soon as possible. The calendar doesn't wait. In August, when the regular season enters its most demanding stretch, every game counts double. The Dodgers, who began the year with a dream rotation, headed by Ohtani, Yamamoto, Buehler, and the anticipation of Sasaki, today suffer from the fragility of that plan. Injuries, inconsistencies, and innings limits have left gaps the bullpen cannot always cover. And amid that uncertainty, the figure of Roki Sasaki appears as the piece that could stabilize the puzzle. Dave Roberts knows it. The front office knows it. And Mookie Betts, who doesn't hide his role as a guide for the young pitcher, knows it even more. The team needs fresh arms, but more than that, they need talent capable of making a difference in October. The postseason isn't one with patched rotations or tired pitchers, it's one with aces who command respect from the mound. And that's where Sasaki comes in. The situation creates a double scenario for the Japanese pitcher. On the one hand, he is urged to be patient because his body needs rhythm, his pitches must regain bite, and his confidence must rebuild after each shaky outing. On the other, the urgency of the club doesn't allow indefinite waiting. That tension between the time a player requires and the time competition demands is one of the Dodgers' biggest dilemmas right now. Betts expressed it indirectly when talking about the need for Sasaki to feel part of the group, comfortable and confident. Because beyond mechanics or velocity, there's a key mental component: pressure. Roki knows millions of eyes are on him, that fans in Japan follow every stat, every chronicle, every comment about his performance. He also knows that in Los Angeles he is expected as a savior, as that young arm who could bring stability to a battered staff. For a 23-year-old pitcher, that load can be overwhelming. In this context, minor league rehab assignments aren't just physical adjustments. They are tests of character. Every Sasaki outing in Triple-A is measured not only in runs or strikes but in signs of progress. A couple of fastballs hitting 97, a clean inning without hesitation, the return of a slider with bite. These are small victories that feed the hope that sooner rather than later, he'll be ready for the big stage. The problem is that time is working against him. The Dodgers need wins today, not tomorrow. The division is tightening, rivals don't wait, and each loss, like the recent one against Toronto, hurts twice as much because it exposes shortcomings in key moments. The offense produces, yes, but without a solid rotation, the competitive ceiling is reduced. And that's why the Dodgers look toward Oklahoma City with anxiety, waiting for Sasaki to show at any moment the version that made him a phenomenon in Japan. Mookie Betts himself has insisted that what matters is helping Sasaki feel integrated and supported, even in adversity. For Betts, the key is for the pitcher to understand that setbacks are part of the journey, and that a bad outing in Triple-A doesn't define his future. You have to give him time, but you also have to push him to believe in himself, he reportedly said in private, reflecting the duality of a leader who understands the process but also feels the urgency of the present. For the Dodgers, every day without Sasaki at full strength is a day the bullpen gets more worn out and strategic options shrink. The coaching staff dreams of an October in which Ohtani, Yamamoto, Buehler, and Sasaki can share the spotlight on the mound, offering depth and freshness against any opponent. But that dream will only come true if Sasaki can turn his Triple-A rehearsals into real confidence, to step up in the majors and make a difference. What happens during these weeks of rehab will be decisive not only for the team's immediate present, but also for Sasaki's future as an MLB star. Every fastball that regains velocity, every slider that finds the zone, every outing in which he can go deeper into the game are steps toward fulfilling that expectation of becoming the best pitcher on the planet, as Mookie Betts once said. The narrative forms a perfect circle. The veteran star committed to guiding the young prodigy, the club that desperately needs that prodigy, the player torn between his immense talent and the demands of adapting to the most competitive baseball in the world. In that triangle of pressures, expectations, and support, one of the most fascinating stories of the season is being written. For fans, the wait may be frustrating. Each headline about a bad AAA outing feels like a bucket of cold water, a reminder that the promise hasn't materialized yet. But there is also hope, because baseball history is full of stars who had to struggle before shining. The difference is that with Sasaki, the spotlight never turns off. What is clear is that the Dodgers need him, not as a luxury, but as an indispensable piece. Without Sasaki, the rotation falls short against October's challenges. With Sasaki at his best, the team can dream of a postseason dominated from the mound. The AAA rehab, then, is not a mere formality. It's the prologue to a story that could define the franchise's fate in 2025. And in the middle of it all, Mookie Betts continues his quiet mission, pushing, joking, supporting, integrating. Because he understands that for Sasaki to pitch again with the ferocity that made him famous, it's not enough for his arm to heal. He also needs to feel supported, to believe he's not alone, to know that a leader of Betts's stature is by his side every step of the way. Thus, the story keeps being written. Roki Sasaki in AAA, searching to regain his spark. The Dodgers in the majors, anxiously awaiting his return. And Mookie Betts, reminding everyone that greatness isn't built with talent alone, but also with trust, patience, and a leadership that knows when to demand and when to embrace. The ending isn't written yet, but what is already clear is that the fate of the Dodgers and Sasaki are more intertwined than ever.